Hello Team FD and welcome to the World Cup review. Now, not exactly buzzing this morning, are we? England crashed out, Zach cried, Joe glassed someone, McCubbin did this live on air.
And the Brazil game, crap.
Sorry.
Oh man. But we have a World Cup review to do, and that we shall, starting with France, who prevailed over Belgium. What did you make of their performance, Joseph?
I think that's probably the standout performance I've seen so far from any team at this World Cup. Obviously, they sealed their place in the final thanks to that Samuel Umtiti header. Only Germany and Italy have reached more World Cup finals amongst the European nations than the French now. They've actually reached 3 in the last 6, I believe, so that's an incredible record, more than any other nation in that period. The 1998 champions, obviously the last time they won it, were captained by Deschamps. Now he has led them to a final. He's trying to become, I believe, the 3rd player to win the tournament as a player and a manager. Zagallo and Beckenbauer have done it before that. And before the tournament, people were kind of criticising him, even at times during the tournament, criticising how he has played and how he has managed that talented France side. But it's hard to argue with his success. Obviously took them to a final of a Euros in 2016, now a World Cup final as well. He's got a 63% win percentage as well. So he has done really good stuff with what is probably the most talented French team I've seen in a long, long time. Belgium had 64% possession in this game, but I have to say I thought France were by far the better team, fully deserved of the win, led on the counter-attack by a frightening Kylian Mbappe. That little turn on the edge of the box to set up Olivier Giroud, probably my highlight of the match. They carved out 19 shots, I believe, to Belgium's 9. So when you think they had more possession, Belgium didn't create an awful lot with it. Griezmann has also been in imperious form, hasn't he? He's been involved in 20 goals in his last 20 games for the French. That's 12 goals and 8 assists, and he's been directly involved in 13 of France's last 20 goals at major tournaments. His link-up play with Paul Pogba and Kylian Mbappe in particular has been very, very impressive. Only Kane, obviously, who's now leading the Golden Boot with 6, has been involved in more goals at this World Cup than Griezmann. So he's had a really good tournament. I'm sure he'll be hoping to take home a World Cup winners medal on Sunday. They've just got a really good record against Belgium as well. They've beaten the Red Devils 3 times in World Cup games. That's more than any other nation. And I'm sure they're going to be supremely confident going into Sunday, facing what are going to be a shattered Croatia team, but a hard-to-beat Croatia team.
Yeah, more heartbreak for Belgium at the final stages. They've now lost at the quarter-finals in the last 2 tournaments. Beat Brazil to reach their 2nd World Cup semi-final, but couldn't match their performance in that game. And this means that their 24-match unbeaten run under Bobby Martinez finally came to an end. Now, Lloris did make great saves from a Witsel drive and an Alderweireld turn and shot. Spun on a sixpence, didn't he?
Yeah, man.
Like a prolific number 9. But they couldn't get Lukaku into the game. He was well marshalled by the excellent Varane and Samuel Umtiti, and was limited to just 22 touches and 1 shot off target. And given the impact he's had in games, not just on the score sheet, but to general build-up play and creating opportunities for other people, that is no mean feat. Now, with De Bruyne and Lukaku not at their best, it was left to captain Eden Hazard to drag Belgium back into this game. And he had a very good game with a 96% pass accuracy, 2 tackles, 10 dribbles.
10 dribbles.
And 2 shots. So he was the star for Belgium, but who were the stars for France? You've already touched upon it, but shout out to Matuidi in that midfield. 2 aerial duels, 3 shots with 1 on target, 6 tackles and 3 interceptions in this game. And when you have someone like Matuidi playing next to a very disciplined Paul Pogba, you're extremely hard to get past in the midfield. They played a very deep block, didn't they? The lines of 4 were very close to one another, almost impenetrable.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best defensive performance I've ever seen Paul Pogba put in. He was super disciplined. He really, really played well in and around his own box. I think there were a number of times where he won headers against Marouane Fellaini, which isn't an easy job in his own area, relieving the pressure off Varane and Umtiti, who could then mark Lukaku out of the game.
Yeah, and he's got that turn of pace, that stride that alleviated pressure on the defence when he was marching down that left-hand side with the ball, winning tactical fouls left, right and centre. But man of the match undoubtedly was Kylian Mbappe. Let's go through his numbers. 1 aerial duel, doesn't matter. 1 tackle, doesn't matter. 7 dribbles completed.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of matters, doesn't it? But, I mean, when we talk about tournament experience being vital, also fearlessness and just outright skill.
Yeah, just talent.
The guy is going to be football's brightest star, you'd imagine, for years to come. But does the Champs have a big issue with Giroud? I do think Giroud is getting the best out of whoever's playing next to him, whether that be Kylian Mbappe, whether it be Ousmane Dembele. He's doing the hard yards and he's linking up the play well. So I don't think the Champs will be overly concerned that Giroud hasn't scored yet, but he did miss a couple of gilt-edged chances in this game and he hasn't hit the target with his last 13 attempts.
Yeah, he's playing a bit of a Benzema role though, isn't he? He's doing the dirty work so Cristiano Ronaldo and everybody else can look fantastic.
Yeah, but he did have 6 shots.
Yeah, that is a lot. And admittedly, some of the chances were good.
Yeah. So you're hoping that, I mean, he comes good for the final. I'm sure he will play because the Champs has been pretty rigid with his team selection after the group stages. So let's see how they line up. I think this is France's to lose.
Same.
But let's move on to our first losers. Let's get out of the way. I said first losers, they're actually our last losers because just doing the semi-finals. But on the subject of losers, a couple of lads from FD went out to Russia, Dorman and George, to sample the atmosphere. Let's hear from them. Unfortunately, you know, Dorman proved to be a bad luck charm.
So that is that. Semi-final done. England are out. Massive thanks to Visa for the tickets. Again, big up to Revolut for the Revolut Visa card as well, of course. Obviously the result didn't go the way we had planned, but I kind of felt England were the better team, to be honest. The stats kind of don't say that much, but I felt they were a better team over the 90 minutes, certainly. 120 minutes, maybe not so much. George, what are your thoughts on the game?
No, I genuinely thought over the 90 minutes Croatia deserved to win. But I mean, over the 120, after we came out of the stadium and looked at the stats, Croatia had 55% possession, they had 22 shots to England's 11, and 7 on target to England's 2, which shows that little threat we had in front of the goal. And I think, on the end of the day, I think the Croats deserved it, and I think they'll put up a worthy opponent to France at the end of it.
I think the main problem, for England, was negative substitutions. The substitutions that were made in the second half were attacking players off for defensive-minded players, and I think that just killed England's momentum.
We didn't really show anything to win the match, really. To reach a FIFA World Cup semi-final is an absolutely massive achievement for England, especially of how low we've been in the last, even the last 2 decades, even our golden generation. What the players did on there was a massive task, and I think they made our country proud by the end of it. It's a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, I'm so glad to be here to witness this, because I mean, my parents didn't see it, they didn't go out to see it. So I mean, what more can you ask for?
And of course, massive thanks to Visa for hooking us up with the tickets, and of course Revolut for hooking us up with a Revolut Visa card, making our stay in Russia all that more easy. England are out, unfortunately. It's not the fairy tale we wanted, but it is what it is. At least they reach the semi-finals. Onwards and upwards, guys. Back to you guys.
Yeah, let's chat about England then, because obviously we crashed out. That would have been our first World Cup final, obviously, since 1966. But Mario Mandžukić was having none of it, was he? I think that means we've now been eliminated at every single semi-final we have reached since 66. I think in 68 versus Yugoslavia, then 90 versus West Germany, Euro 96 against Germany, and now against Croatia in 2018. Trippier gave us hope, didn't he? What a free kick. What a first goal for England. What a time to get it. I have to say the pub we were in went absolutely ballistic. It was a glorious goal. It's such good technique. It reminded me of David Beckham. And from there on, I felt like the first 30 minutes, England were completely dominant. We should have put the game to bed. It should have been done and dusted with that Harry Kane chance where he went through one-on-one. He was incorrectly flagged offside. VAR, of course, would have given it. Jesse Lingard had a fantastic chance as well, didn't he? But then, in truth, after the opening 30 minutes, Croatia refound their feet a little bit, didn't they? And they went on to dominate. 55% possession, 22 shots versus 11, 7 on target. England mustered just 2. But there are still reasons to be proud of this England team and reasons to be positive about going forward. Back in 1990, we already knew Bobby Robson was leaving. 96, we knew Terry Venables was out the door. But 2018, Southgate remains, and so do this England squad. They are still so young. I am still positive, but today, I have to be honest, I'm heartbroken, Hamill.
Yeah, like you said, there's certain members of the squad that are nowhere near their peak. So the potential of this team is quite frankly frightening. And there's lots of reasons to be positive, like you said. However, Croatia find themselves, from a team perspective, at a different moment in time. This is their golden generation. They have got a lot of players who are over 30, and there was a lot of pressure on them to perform, despite being such a small nation. Prior to last night, that actually reached the semi-final already in just 5 tournaments. So despite being a relatively new nation, they actually have an incredible football pedigree, and this underdog story continues. But like I said, last chance saloon for some of these players at a World Cup, Perisic being one of them, and my God, did he, seize the moment, didn't he? Perisic, man of the moment, has 10 goals at major tournaments, level with the legendary Davor Suker, who got 9 goals and 1 assist. Perisic has 6 goals and 4 assists. So, cometh the man, cometh the hour, and fair play to Croatia. Like you said, they've qualified for their first World Cup final in only their 5th attempt, and they've done it the hard way, haven't they? They've become the first side since England in 1990 to play 3 consecutive games going to extra time. But let's go back to England, because there were a couple of standout performers despite the result. And despite losing Mandžukić for the winner, John Stones was very, very good on the night with a 94% pass accuracy, 6 aerial duels won, 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 shot, 1 header cleared off the line. Painful to watch that back in slow motion. And like you said, credit to Trippier as well. 4 aerial duels, 1, 2 tackles, 3 interceptions, 1 shot, 1 goal before he hobbled off with that injury in tears. And he deserves all the plaudits he's getting. What a tournament he's had. His stock has gone through the roof, and I imagine this will help him solidify that right-back berth at club level too, fending off competition from Serge Aurier. He's really stepped it up, hasn't he, Trippier? Who else have we got down here then? Raheem Sterling. Like I said in the live stream, I think we lost a lot of attacking impetus when he came off on the 74th minute, with Kane dropping a little bit deeper. It worked, him being so advanced. And for the first half, at the very least, he scared the living out of that Croatia defence.
100%.
I don't know what you think about Rashford's impact when he came on. He was good, but we definitely lost something when Raheem came off, right?
100%. I think that Gareth Southgate's substitutions on the night were not the best, and they haven't been the best throughout the tournament, but that's something he's learning as a young coach. And I think last night really emphasised how important Raheem Sterling is to this team. The idiots at home who say that he shouldn't be starting these games have not got a clue. Last night was the perfect justification of Raheem Sterling's game. He was running in behind, he was causing havoc off flick-ons, he was all over Croatia. They didn't know what to do with him, they didn't know how to position themselves. What I will say of Croatia though is that at half-time, I think they got their tactics coming out in the second half spot on. They pressed us high, our back 3 started to panic, we started to use Pickford a lot more, and that made us go long. And when we started to go long, we got deeper and deeper. Kane trying to win a lot of flick-ons, and when Raheem came off and we no longer needed that player to win the flick-ons and get in behind, I thought our game plan kind of fell apart a little bit.
Yeah, that back 3 effectively became a back 5 at the end, and I thought Croatia were exceptional around that left-hand side with Perisic, with Modric kind of floating around that number 10 position. And as much as Rebic annoyed me, he's pretty robust, wasn't he? He worked very hard along that front line, and we kind of abandoned, is a bit of a strong word, but started to play long ball at the end when Jamie Vardy came on. And I think by and large, this young England team deserves a lot of credit for sticking to Gareth Southgate's game plan. We've actually come up with a formula, a means of playing, hopefully one that's going to be consistent from the under-17s to the senior team. And yeah, we stuck to it for the majority of this tournament. I don't think we did ourselves many favours, pumping it forward at the end, but forgivable given the circumstances, right? But let's go back to Raheem, because we needed him firing on all cylinders when Harry Kane wasn't having the best time of it.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit harsh, but like Gary Neville said, not overly convinced about his fitness in this game. We've kind of run him into the ground.
Literally.
And as a result, he only completed 1 dribble. He only had 2 shots, which is not a lot for Harry Kane, because he's an absolute shot monster, isn't he? He has 5 to 6 in the Premier League. When he was rushed back, I think, after February, we saw his shot numbers decline, and it was almost kind of indicative of that, really. Both those shots were off target as well, because the other shot was flagged for offside. Obviously, like you said, VAR would have corrected that decision, but doesn't apply to the stats here. But he did win 10 aerial duels, which again indicates that we did go long ball, and we could have used Raheem off of him rather than Rashford. Also dropped a little bit, didn't he? Both of them were trying to create from deep, and I got bringing Rashford on because, I mean, he's more than capable of cutting in from the wing, isn't he? And he was causing their fullbacks havoc when he came on. But I don't know. I think Dele Alli petered out fairly early. I maybe would have liked to see Rashford come on for Dele Alli, but it's hindsight's a wonderful thing.
I would have liked to have seen Jordan Henderson stay on. Wasn't the biggest fan of that substitution. I thought as soon as we took him off, we lost the passing balls through the middle. And I also thought that around 50 to 60 minutes in just regular time, Dele Alli looked shot to bits. He just completely stopped running in midfield. And that would have, for me, been the perfect time to bring a player like Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Fabian Delph on. I thought that the midfield Croatia had of Modric, Rakitic and Brozovic just started to control the game from about 60 minutes onwards. And that was the time I'd like to see Loftus-Cheek just disrupt what they were doing in there.
I agree more so with Delph. I think solidifying that midfield would have been better. I think Danny Rose was a positive solution.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people calling for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, it would have been maybe harsh to bring him on in those circumstances. And he's a midfielder. I think it would have been him or Rashford. But then come on, right, because they're both players who take it to the opposition.
Yeah, for sure.
As opposed to creating from
the reason I would like to have seen Loftus-Cheek come on was in a similar way to what happened against Tunisia. I thought last night there was a kind of 50-minute spell where we were a little bit stuck in the mud. When Loftus-Cheek came on against the Tunisians, I thought he completely changed that game on his head. Just the little flicks around the corner, the ability to carry the ball through midfield a little bit.
But we were on top against Tunisia, right?
It's
nice to bring him on to try and unlock that defence, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we were on top against Tunisia, but I didn't think Croatia were causing us any problems.
I think Delph is a great shout. I'd like to have seen Henderson stay on, but ultimately Dyer had to go right centre back, didn't he? Because Trippier hobbled off, so everything kind of went Pete Tong, didn't it? But let's go back to Croatia because they deserve an awful lot of credit. Some outstanding performers, like we said. Atleti right back, Vishalko. Was pretty solid on the night as well, wasn't he? 1 dribble, 2 interceptions, 1 shot, 1 clearance off the line, you mother. And 1 assist. Perisic, just go back to him, revisit his numbers. 2 tackles, 7 shots, only 1 on target though. So
yeah, but hit the post, didn't he? So it kind of counts.
Yeah, still hit the post. 1 goal and 1 assist in this game. Rebic, like I said, workhorse, 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, 3 dribbles and 3 shots. And they go through to Sunday's final with history against them, but they've kind of been swimming against the tide since the round of 16, right? So you'd be, unwise to bet against them. They've played the French 5 times though and haven't won once.
I'm back in the French here.
Drawn 3, lost 2. In their competitive meetings so far, the semi-final of the World Cup in '98, they've lost 2-1, and the group stages of Euro 2004 was a 2-2 draw. But underestimate them at your peril, like I said. I think France will win. I'm going to go for 3-1, but I kind of hope Croatia do win.
I'll go 2-0 to France. I just think that the midfield of France is probably the first time Croatia have come up against a midfield that can match the ability that the Croatians have in Modric and Rakitic. I think that they're probably going to have too much from France.
And not just match them technically speaking, this French midfield have those technical skills as well as outstanding physical attributes.
Yeah, definitely.
Blaise Matuidi, Paul Pogba, Kante, absolute powerhouses. So, yeah, definitely a different kettle of fish. But guys, what do you think? Get your score predictions for the final in the comments below. I think this is our final World Cup review. We'll probably do an internet react to the final, so keep your peepers peeled for that one. And if you enjoyed this, then go and watch Football Mundial over on Euro Football Daily, or the last Sunday Vibes, where we talked about Ronaldo, and it happened. Wow. Goodbye.